Nobody earns my Difference Makes Award more than Sonia Sotomayor, including this morning's opinion, where she delivered an opinion in a warrant search case, saying, I want to share with you what it's really like to know that the police are always going to be looking at you, and quoted from Ta-Nehisi Coates and from the brilliant new book by a woman whose last name is Anderson. So Sonia Sotomayor.
You're talking about the Strife case.
Correct.
That came out today.
But,
Right.
but it's more than that. It's and you're absolutely right. I would recommend to anyone to read Utah versus Strife today. It's a 5-3 decision, in case you think 8-member courts can't rule in cases of consequence. It's a kind of astonishing Fourth Amendment decision. But Sotomayor's dissent in particular is worth reading for all of the reasons that Linda just described. And there's a couple of pages where she talks about what can happen to you when you're stopped by the police. And she goes on page after page and she cites Supreme Court decisions that have allowed this, right? So this, you can when you get arrested, the Supreme Court can strip search you, even if you've shown, the Supreme Court cops can strip search you, even if you show no signs of being dangerous. They can swab your cheek to get your DNA. I mean, she goes through the whole, and she cites all of the Supreme Court cases. And then it doesn't stop there, she says, and she goes on and on about the indignity. Think about who Sonia Sotomayor is. She's, like many of the justices, a prosecutor. Mm-hmm. She's a prosecutor. And one of the issues I've been concerned about is the prosecutorial tilt on the Supreme Court. But she was a city prosecutor. She wasn't a U.S. attorney. She worked in the Manhattan DA's office. She knows exactly what happens. She knows how police conduct themselves. And so it's interesting because it shows that having a certain perspective, having a certain experience, and she says in the opinion, but in my personal opinion and based on my professional experience. And then she goes into the litany. So she's bringing something to the deliberations that come out of her professional experience, just as Thurgood Marshall could bring to the table, not just his experiences as a Black man, but his experience representing Black people in the South. He would say, this is how it really happens. When the sheriff says this is what it actually means. Justice Powell said he told us things we didn't know and maybe didn't want to know. So that's what she's now also bringing to the court. And what she sets out there is a terrifying picture, made more beautiful by citing Ta-Nehisi Coates and W.E.B. Du Bois and Michelle Alexander and Lani Guinier. I mean, it's amazing. But it's also terrifying. And it's coming from the mouth of a prosecutor citing Supreme Court cases saying, this is the democracy we've created. We've handed to police officers the power to do this to you, not because you've been convicted of a crime, but simply because you've been stopped and arrested.